let me back that up. So what I've seen, a lot of the comments that we get are people asking, how do I get into the industry?
Right.
Or somebody, like I got an email the other day from a guy that said, hey, I do X. He's kind of on the fringe of construction. Not really.
Right.
I mean, he's in construction sales. And he's like, I think I want to get into construction management.
Mm-hmm.
How do I make that? What bridge can I take to get into construction management from like these fringe?
When you say fringe, you mean working for a trade partner?
Well, so he's not managing. He's
in
working
the
for,
office,
he's working for a
something
supply
like that.
house, right?
Okay.
He's selling. I mean, that's not even the fringe. I mean, that's in it.
That's not the fringe. That's definitely right in it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's construction management. A lot of times. I mean, if you're doing purchasing for a trade partner and you don't necessarily work for the builder, that doesn't. You're still in construction, right? I mean, there's development companies. Those guys aren't in construction.
Well, that's true. They are. So
they manage it.
And you know what I hear a lot of is, or I'll talk to guys on the job site, and they'll be doing like a trade, and they'll say, man, because they think construction manager is so much easier. If I could just do that instead of just managing this one trade, if I could only manage all of them, my life would be so much better. So people ask all the time, they're like, hey.
It's funny because I always hear, man, I don't want your job.
Yeah.
Which is also true. You don't.
Well, I usually hear that after I've launched my hard hat into like outer space.
Right.
Kicked over,
Or somebody who's just a reasonable person listens to a customer give it to you, and you're just like, yes, sir. No, ma'am. Sure. Not right away.
You're right. I did build this house upside down. I apologize. I don't know what I was thinking.
Do you know one that I got before?
What?
I mentioned in conversation to an excavator. He had a helper with him.
Yeah.
The guy was like running a machine and doing some other stuff, poking around. And I mentioned that I was like, 2 years ago I built that section over there. And he's like, you built it?
I hate that.
And I was like, who built it more than me, dude?
Yeah.
Like, there was only one person who's involved in every single aspect of those homes.
Yeah.
And that's this guy.
Yeah.
And maybe,
that's me.
Yeah. And maybe the punch out guy.
I get that from my kids, dude. I'm like, I built those houses. You built that house.
Yeah.
I'm like, get out of my car right now.
Yeah.
Walk home. So I think it's important that, anybody that wants to get into the industry, the construction management, and any, management in construction, whether that's with a trade or whether that's with a builder or whatever, has to do, there's a couple things they need to do. So if you want to get in with a builder, let's say you have no direct building experience, essentially what you're asking for is an assistant. You're asking, hey, can you please hire me to train under somebody that's actually a builder, actually building these houses?
This inspector's not going to wait for himself.
Right.
So get out there in your truck and watch lot 62.
Yeah. So I think the first thing you need to do is look at the experience that you've got, no matter what it is, whether it's, sports, maybe you're the captain of your lacrosse team or whatever, football, if you're not on the East Coast, or whatever experience you have. And you have to say, you know what? There are aspects of management in the experience that I have, and you need to tailor your resume to that. So let's say you're working at a grocery store or whatever.
What job are we talking about here?
Assistant construction manager. It's just a way to break into construction management. And you're not going to break into construction management and be a construction manager. No way. Anybody that's going to hire you, run away. If you have no experience,
I've seen that happen a couple of times though. Like
really?
He did something really close, and they're like, "You're a CM," and he gets hired for the job. And then when he's done falling on his face, it's really hard to replace him.
Yeah, dude. It's I mean, you almost get set up for failure if you hire somebody directly. Like, I give a great example. Years ago, I worked for a company, and we flew a dude in from Chicago. And I was like, I hadn't seen his resume, so I'm going to meet this guy for lunch. It's me and another guy, and we're going to meet this candidate. And I sit down, and he's like, here's my resume, and I take it, and I'm looking at it. And we flew it in to be a construction manager on a super complicated, fast-paced job. And I looked at his resume. He had like 1 year experience working for a production builder out in Chicago. I was super honest with him. I said, dude, I apologize. We have wasted a couple of days of your life because you are in no way qualified for this job.
Yeah, how many houses have you built? 4.5.
Well, and the guy sitting next to me is like, Damien, what are you talking about? And I was actually a little annoyed. And I was like, are you kidding me? He said, look at this. And all of this in front of this kid, right, which I felt kind of bad about. But I'm like,
God rest his soul.
Yeah. I'm like, look at this resume. Yeah, I said, he just graduated from college. He's got a year's worth of experience, and we're going to throw him on a commercial project I was like, there is no way.
It wouldn't even be good for him.
It wouldn't have been good for him. And the good news is that story actually had a happy ending because he said, look, I want to be in the area. What do you have? And I said, you know what? We have a position as an assistant construction manager. Mm-hmm. If you're interested in that, it's not going to pay nearly as much, but it's a starting point.
Right.
And he was like, great.
Sign me up. And,
guy turned out to be really good. He was a sponge.
So that's a good way to kind of talk about, we've talked about this before too. Probably the best way to get into residential construction management where you're working for a builder or you're a superintendent of some kind would be to work with one of the trades. Pick up experience that you know is relatable in the industry if you can't get that job, because you can start out not knowing anything and just work along beside somebody for a long time.
Yeah.
But when you have that experience and you know what it's like because you worked for the electrician or you worked for the mason or you worked for, any of the other, even just relatable stuff. You worked at the county moving permits. Yeah. Like, you understand some part of the business that's relatable, and it's extremely valuable. And it makes more sense once you finally start doing the job. Like, it takes 2 weeks to get through the county, so we need to make sure we get out ahead of that 2 weeks from now. Like, just understanding that timeline is huge. So
yeah, and that goes back to critical path, right? So
right.
So I think that if you really, so let's talk about, let's just digress a little bit, because there's a ton of programs out there, construction management schools and things like that. We've talked about those colleges that offer those programs and how super smart and valuable those guys are. As soon as they come out, they're so smart, they should be running out every company. I'm just kidding, obviously. But it's, that's one way of doing it. If you have no experience, but you've got a construction management background,
right,
or, through education, that's great. There are actually a ton of certifications out there that you can get. Not a ton, but there's a few. BuilderTactics.com is actually going to offer a certification in construction management.
Shameless plug.
It's coming, but it's a way to set yourself aside or apart if you don't have the actual practical experience and you want to get into the building management.
What was your first construction type job?
I was my very first. I was renovating basements and building rooftop decks in DC when I was like.
Did you work for a company?
I worked for a dude. I guess it was a company. We probably spent more time.
What kind of vehicle did you get to this job in?
At a Jeep.
It was a Jeep.
It was in DC, so it was District of Columbia. So
everybody builds basements out of Jeeps. That's totally normal.
Well, I remember one time the guy that I was working for was like, and I didn't know anything. I was like 18. He says,
"Hey kid, get in my Jeep."
We had actually gone into a basement, no permit, no nothing. Dug down. It was like a dirt floor. We dug down like a foot. And he's like, I was like, should we be doing this? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. Hey, I'm going to pour some concrete in here. And he says to me, I was so dumb, because it's self-leveling concrete. So they're just going to dump it in the bag. We're just going to dump it in, and it's going to level itself. This is like huge basement in a townhome. And I was like,
he's like, I saw it one time.
Yeah. So concrete truck rolls up. We dumped, I don't know how many tons of concrete into this basement without even being in it. Nobody was in it. So the concrete guy,
just some dude, paying you to just dump concrete through the window.
We dumped it through a window.
Oh my god!
The chute just fell off the basement. So I mean, you can imagine. I think he may have been in there with like a shovel, throwing it in the corners or something.
There's a correct way to do that.
There's a correct way to do it. That was not it. So what happens is then he's got, like a week later, he's got. So we actually stuttered up walls. I mean, the floor would look like an ocean, waves, and it looked terrible. So we set up the walls, drywalled it, and the whole time I'm looking at this floor like, this floor is not level.
I think you're talking about my sister-in-law's house. I've been there.
It could be. So then the flooring guy comes out, and again, I didn't know anything about anything. They keep telling me it's fine. I'm like, okay. He's like, oh, there's some defects in the floor, but the flooring guy will fix it. And I'm like, these are like ocean waves. I could surf on these defects. So flooring guy comes out.
It's good. Just don't roller skate down here.
Or try and walk. So I'm standing outside, and I just remember this because the flooring guy walks down in the basement. I hear him start cussing at the guy I was working for. And he comes back out. And I'm like, hey, everything okay down there? And he goes, F no, everything's not okay. He's like, I'm supposed to put flooring down there? And he's like, F you and F this guy. Because we had totally wasted his time.
Of course.
We
He probably bought a bunch of material, too.
Dude, he was supposed to come the next day and put like hardwood down.
Oh, my God.
Dude, we jackhammered the entire thing out. It was horrible. Horrible.
What a waste of cash, too.
Dude, cash, time, effort, everything.
That guy's not a builder or a scheduler.
Dude,
my first construction job, I worked for a friend's dad. Actually, it was two different friends' dads, and both times we were building decks. Building decks actually on the houses.
Everybody starts building decks.
These were actually both builders,
Okay.
and they were like putting a deck on for somebody who had purchased the house and said, "Hey, I also want a deck." And so he just had me basically as a laborer.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
like nailing up hangers and carrying 2x material.
That's what I did,
pretty much
dude.
for 2 straight days. You know what's really cool is it's just cool to talk about too. My son is getting ready to start driving, and I told him that I'm not giving him a car. He's gonna
Good.
earn it. He wants to. I said he's got to pay for half. So lately, because he waited until it's like learner's permit time to start thinking about this, despite I've been talking about it for years. Now it's real, and so he's been working. And
Yeah.
he put an ad on Nextdoor, which is just a neighborhood app.
Yep.
I think I told you about this.
Wait, are they sponsoring the show? Do we get residual for that plug?
No, but if you live in, if you live in any neighborhood, you can pick up like garage sale information or neighborhood watch stuff and that sort of thing. So, but he puts this like funny. I don't even know if he was trying to be funny, but he put this ad on Nextdoor that was like, "I need money for a car. Pay me to do these things. I can."
My skills include.
My skills include, yeah, I can house sit, babysit, pet sit, like carry heavy things, climb pretty high in trees.
Oh
and I'm
my
not joking.
God.
All of these things were on his list. And the last one was, and I make pretty good sandwiches. So, and what's really funny is the next day, there's a homeowners association, right, a couple miles up the road, and the guy who's the president had just poured a big concrete gutter, and he still had the forms on it, and they had to backfill everything.
Oh,
they had a bunch of
gotcha.
flower beds to do. He's like, "I'll give you $250. Come out here and work for the day."
Awesome.
So my kid was like, "Yeah." So he goes out there,
That's
busts his
pretty cool.
butt for 8 hours, and then the next weekend worked 2 days. So he's saving money so fast. I think I was joking. I have to steal his jobs just so I can pay my half.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's pretty,
awesome.
but it's pretty cool. There's the first
pretty
couple
cool.
jobs in construction that you look back on. Like I was carrying lumber. He's like backfilling forms.
So here's the thing. So I actually worked for a mason as a laborer, which was super hard. I did the work in DC, which was I would never thank God there are no pictures. What else did I do? I worked on towers. So we actually, and that was construction. We erected towers and we changed out antennas and stuff, which was kind of exciting. But my first job in construction was through a referral. None of it was on my resume. I'd been working in IT, and I got a
Right.
job, and it was 100% because of a referral that I'd gotten. When I realized on my resume, I didn't put any of the construction on there. So that's the other way to kind of get into
But
construction.
isn't that the case with like even some of the upper management that we work with? They started in completely unrelated
Yeah.
careers.
Yep.
And end up, having some connection to construction in some way, and through that path of life, ended up, bettering themselves in this environment, and eventually
Yeah.
making their way to where
You
they're
know
at.
what somebody told me a while ago? He was like, "Look, we always want referrals because those are the people. They're typically a big organization, a really small organization. That referral is going to hold more weight than anything else." But I had a guy tell me years ago. He said, "If you refer somebody to work with you, you better be prepared to work for them, because typically that referral is going to hold so much weight that they're probably going to hire the guy even with not as much experience." But if that dude's or that person is a doer, they're going to come in and they kill
Right.
it. You got to be prepared to be able to work for that
Yeah,
person.
well,
at
let me
some
tell you
point.
this. I know a lot of people. I've referred a few. You're going to have to work real hard to
Yeah,
take
dude.
over my job.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Because you're a doer, man.
Well,
You
I'm
get it
just
done.
super cocky. That's all.
Dude, I referred a guy. The last person I referred worked for like 3 months. And then
You know
quit.
who you are. You know exactly who you are.
know who you are. No, but it was super embarrassing because I had a recruiter call me and say, "Hey, man, what happened with your boy?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "He just quit." Then it was in a different state, and I was like, "What? No, he just started." And they're like, "No, he just quit." and slammed the company, which was, so I tried to call him, but he wouldn't take my calls.
Well, that's not a good referral. That's your fault probably a little bit, right? Talk about a digressing. Talk about digressing. Like we haven't really talked about what it takes to get into this business, except for the fact that like what we've done, which was basically accidentally end up in construction.
You know what it takes? It's hard goddamn work, man.
That's true. What it takes. Yeah, hard work, tenacity. You got to want to build stuff.
You got to want to build stuff. So that's the thing. So if you want to get into construction, you can get in.
Right.
It's going to take knocking on doors, sending out resumes, making phone calls.
And sometimes it takes a couple of years to get the job that you want.
Yeah.
And you go there looking for that job, and you take something close, and you learn, and you move. And you learn and you move and you get to where you want to be. I mean, that's it. I didn't know where I wanted to be. I don't think I'm there yet. I think I'm going to continue working until I take over everything all around me.
Yeah. No,
and then I'm going to wish I hadn't, like I do at every stage.
Here's the thing, though. If you do take a job, so twice in my career, I can think of instances where I was interviewing for one job, was told sorry, but we have this other job. Mm-hmm. Both times I accepted the job. But I went into it and I said, listen, I'm going to kill it at this job. But I need you to understand, my goal is this other job.
Right.
And both times I ended up achieving that job. But what I see people do is they say, I want this other job. And they'll say, okay, I'll take this job that they seem as lesser. But they have an attitude about it. And they don't work hard. Yeah. And they're never going to get where they want to be with that. I'm in a lesser role. Because you got to own that shit, man. You got to if you're going to do a job, you got to do it.
Okay, so I have a philosophy about raises and about positions, and it goes the same way. Same as just like you said, get what you can get.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it then. Don't get me wrong. When you're moving or you're changing jobs, that's your chance to like talk about salary and negotiate and all those things. Mm-hmm. But take what you can get, and then kill it. If you go in there and destroy that job and you're better than everybody around you, it's going to make the decision when it does come time to fill a gap. When you need a construction manager, or you need an assistant construction manager, or you need a project manager. Mm-hmm. If the people that are applying, two of them you don't know, but they have good resumes, and one of them you know exactly what you're getting because they have just been destroying their job, just absolutely mowing it down, knocking out everything A+s all the time. You're like, look, 2 question marks over here. I don't know these dudes.
Yeah.
But this one over here, I guarantee that person is going to die trying.
That's the guy, man.
Foot in the door first, kill it at your job, and now look to where you want to be.
100%, man, because I would rather have that dude that I know is going to work hard and learn than some, dude that who knows.
Right. If you're always looking at the next job, complaining about your current one, not focusing on your current one, you're never going to get there. That's a great point.
Yep. No, I got hired for a job a while ago. That I know I was overqualified for the job, and I was like, okay, in my head I was like, I'm gonna go do this job, but I'm gonna treat it like it's the job that I know that I'm qualified for, and I had to do this, we call it a lesser job, for like 3 months, and I actually had my manager's manager say, we are wasting your time.
Right.
Because I had a great attitude, and I was like, I'm going to do this job and this other job. Mm-hmm. I'm doing both. I'm going to kill it. And they were like, yeah, we're sorry. We made a mistake. We should just put you in another position. And I was like, thank you. About time you realized.
So I wanted to be a PM. I wanted to be a project manager for a while.
Yeah.
When I was a construction manager. And, my dad, like I said, my dad was in this business. He got me this job. He told me he got me the interview.
Yeah.
And I was like so nervous, I actually interviewed with your boss and our boss. Mm-hmm. But it was, and I'm like, Dad, is this like, did you like wink, wink, like get me the job or? And he goes, son, I got you the interview. Everything else is up to you.
Yeah.
And my mom come like rushing in afterwards, like, oh, sweetie, you got the job. Don't worry. And then Bryant called me Silver Spoon until like literally this week.
You know what though, dude? I've known you for years, and I will tell you, I would never. Your dad may have gotten you that interview, man, but that job, you killed it. You killed it. Everything you've gotten since then has been 100% on you.
We definitely work real hard together here.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. What are you looking at?
Somebody just sent us a podcast email that we're out of line.
Is it another bad review coming in live?
No.
Oh.
If you got it in your head to give us a bad review, you better just shut the hell up.
I want to say bad stuff to you.
Anyway, so that's it. I mean, if you're trying to get into this industry, there is definitely a way. There is it's a good problem to have in the United States. There's a ton of jobs and not enough people to fill them. If you want to get into construction management, there's a way. You may have to start as an assistant. Actually, you're definitely going to have to start as an assistant.
Of course.
But if you're serious about it,
having some trade experience first too.
Start figuring out what you do in your day-to-day that's got anything to do with management or scheduling or leadership. Start writing it down. Include it in your resume. A good cover letter never hurt. If there's an online training program like buildertactics.com is going to offer here shortly.
Shameless plug.
Jump on it. If it's financially feasible for you to do it, jump on it. You don't have to have a 4-year degree from some prestigious university in construction management to get into construction management. That's for sure.
I've seen a whole bunch of guys in this business that do have pretty prestigious degrees and not make it.
Oh my
because
God.
that definitely isn't what makes you successful here. It is great and it is helpful, and that guy will go far if he embraces it. But this is hard work to get you where you want to be in this business.
Yeah, dude. Well, we had that. Well, I don't want to name names, but we had a guy work for us that had a very prestigious, very expensive degree in construction management, and couldn't tell you how to build a doghouse if you gave instructions.
Right.
So anyway,
I think we should give one shout out though, because I know that there's one office that's been listening to us, and I think it's actually kind of cool with their Masonry Masters.
Masters.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of folks at Masonry Masters apparently that are listening to our podcast, and I'm not sure. I've heard from Stephanie.
Stephanie's our number one fan.
According to Stephanie, she's our number one fan. I think she might be just saying that, but I'm okay with that too. I just wanted to say what's up. Thanks for listening.
I think Stephanie's amazing. I just like to say that.
I'm sure there's a few more that are listening, and maybe it's just her, and everybody else is like, please shut that off.
Please don't listen to that in the office any longer. You're making us crazy. We're all going to quit.
Right.
Anyway, so guys, again, please jump on the website. Not the website. Instagram. I'm going to edit that out. I'm actually going to edit that out this time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can jump on, not if you can, everybody can. I'm so tired. I'm emotionally drained, Jason.
Why are you?
Can we talk about the fact that I'm emotionally drained?
Why are you emotionally drained? This is a good one.
Because I dropped my daughter off at college. If she's listening, which I doubt, I love you. I love you. Come home. Drop out of school and come home to your dad.
She's so much smarter than you. If she ends up in construction, it's going to be like...
She is, dude. She builds robots.
Jeez, dude.
Dude, she's going to build robots to put us all out of business. Anyway, follow us on Instagram. Follow us on... subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook, I guess. Do you like? Friend us?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I'm just a talent. I don't know.
I know. All right. Subscribe to us on all our social media platforms. And come see us September 26th at Vanish Farm Brewery. It's going to be an awesome event. Jason said he can even make it.
I'm trying.
Which is awesome. We're going to try and have some giveaways, maybe some t-shirts or something. We'd love for you to come out, meet us in person. We're going to live stream the episode. It's going to be awesome. Anyway, keep supporting us. Come on out. We love it. Thanks, everybody.